Monica Brinkman on the other end.
Hello, everyone.
And Monica, the last time we chatted, you had brought up a subject, and I think it may not be in the same order, folks, but the topic was what stops people from having empathy? Why, when they see a stranger, do people feel threatened rather than expecting to see angels? Okay. I was brought up believing that you treat the stranger with care and love because they may be an angel in disguise.
Yeah, no, yes, we were brought up like that also. I think the number one thing, Ken, is fear.
Fear of what?
I know. Well, I think it's been fed to our society, to me, has gotten to be a fear injected society. Everything you do, you know, it used to be you'd walk down the street, you would say hi to your neighbors, hi to everybody. You know, you'd be a smile, good morning, how are you doing? You might even chat with some of them. Mm-hmm. Now, people are afraid to even look you in the eye. Mm-hmm. And why has that happened?
I don't know, you tell me.
I know, I'd like to know, but I think a lot of it comes from, of all things, Ken, is products and services. Because unless you can put the fear into people about certain things, then they're not going to need your product. Fear of being hacked on the internet, let's say. Fear of someone hitting you with a car. You know, fear of someone robbing you. It goes on and on and on. And why? Why? They have to have that fear in the people so they'll buy their product and services.
Okay. I think that's one dimension. Let me offer another one that also goes along with that. We have learned that we live in a world that is not trustworthy.
That was a hard one for me, and you're right.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked in other times about insurance companies and how they really don't want to pay off and things like that. But let's be honest. I mean, I grew up seeing doctors doing advertisements for cigarettes. Right? Remember Chesterfields?
Oh yeah, they had the doctors on there. Yeah, if a doctor told it was okay.
Now we know that that's not true. Now, I don't know that those doctors knew it wasn't true. I'm perfectly willing to believe, but we used to believe things because we believed in authority and we trusted authority. And now we no longer trust authority. We don't trust authority because we realize that authority is often wrong. Okay? And sometimes it's because we have different values. Okay, I happen to be very welcoming to people who are transgender, LBG, whatever the alphabet soup has become. I don't care. Doesn't bother me one way or the other. Quite simple about it. They're just human beings. But I know that some people are very threatened by that. The government comes along and says, well, you have to let this person who identifies this way behave in that way, and it becomes a threat to the person who doesn't agree. We're constantly being what we eat. You remember having
I want to do a segment about food in the future.
Butter, toast, bacon, orange, all these things. We were told eggs. And then we were told they're not good. Now we're told some of them are good. We were told chocolate was bad for you. Then we learned that dark chocolate's good for you.
It changes constantly, but interesting. I read that the meat industry is having a problem, especially the pork industry. So they're planning this big campaign to get people back.
So what is trustworthy? Who is trustworthy in this world?
Yeah.
Okay. The climatologists are telling us climate change, and you and I believe we agree with them, and we believe it's
it's there. It's not like
right, but there are a lot of people who don't want to believe that COVID was quite real. Now, you and I, we grew up, in the days of Salk. I remember when polio vaccines came out, first the shot, then the oral, and Sabin, and boy, the world changed. The world
Yes.
actually pivoted for us. For one thing, it made my family business less, not that we stopped being successful, but less successful because we were in summer camps up in Maine, and these kids were being sent away to keep from getting polio. Now they weren't going to get polio. They could stay home.
Oh, yeah, I never even
Go
thought
to the
about
beach.
that.
Now, the world changed. Now, did the COVID vaccine help? Personally, I think it did. But the point is that people don't trust anymore.
No.
They don't trust. And everybody's an authority now. I mean, if you don't believe me, just go on Facebook and listen and look at all the advice you're getting from people who, I don't know what they think their knowledge is based on. A lot of them have graduated from TikTok or YouTube.
I know.
And as a guy with a PhD, that kind of offends me. I think that they should at least have to suffer through boring classes instead of watching.
I'd be able to say that. I was just giving my own personal experience. That's why you can't.
But it's very hard for us to trust and listen to authority, which then creates another interesting problem because we need authority in our lives. Who does not want something secure? The Indians of the Northwest, the Native Americans of the Northwest, like the Tlingit, used to create these gorgeous totem poles. If you ever go up into that part of the world, Alaska, Vancouver, British Columbia, go look at these totem poles. They're marvelous, marvelous things. But what they are is basically a rooting place, a place where the world begins. Okay. If you go to India and you go to the temples of Ram, okay, not Krishna, not Vishnu, Ram, what you basically see is what I'd call an omphalos, which means basically it's a rock that looks pretty much like a penis. Okay. All of us need to know where the authority comes from. Where is the center of our universe? Whether we do it in the notion of a Bible, when the Mormons started their church and they came trekking out west, and Brigham Young was now leading them, he was looking for a new Zion. And that literally was the idea that, that the Garden of Eden, Zion, the Holy Land, was going to be here in the Americas. And that Jesus had somehow come here first. If you don't know the mythology of the Mormon church, it was that Jesus, after the crucifixion, comes to the Americas to preach to the Native Americans. So, where does your world begin? Where is the authority? Well, if you can't trust your doctor, your lawyer, your insurance broker, your kid's teacher, your college professor, and the government officials, and the list goes on and on and on, who do you trust?
Yeah, or even your local.
You don't even necessarily trust your pastor. You trust God, but you don't necessarily trust your pastor. He's just an organizer, if you really think about it. And once you really decide that you are truly a believer, for most Americans, I mean, there are some who still turn to the central authority of their church, whether it's the Catholic Church or the Mormon Church or whatever. But most of us, I think, turn to our own interpretation, our own understanding of.
Because what else can you do if you're truthful to yourself?
Right. And faith then becomes the bulwark of distrust. That's where the problem comes. So I start out my life being taught, be kind to the stranger, for they may be an angel in disguise. And now I am saying, because I cannot trust the world, I am hiding within my faith, and I am building my rock, my castle, my redoubt on faith, not on love. And so we have, and this is the thing. Now, I was brought up, as you know, Monica, I was brought up sort of Jewish, but I really grew up in a Christian environment.
Yeah.
And by the time
Very
I was
interesting. Yeah.
boarding school, of course, it was totally Christian.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know, I've actually practiced as a pastoral counselor in a Christian agency. And I actually was ordained by a small church, Christian church. So, Christianity and I are not estranged.
No. No, I used to teach Sunday school also, so yeah, I'm familiar with it too.
I believe that Christianity has now become the enemy of Christ. It scares me that so many Americans, we have become so paranoid that when you read them the Beatitudes, the teachings of Jesus on the mountain,
Yes.
that they are offended. They say these are bad values. Okay? And this is what scares me the most. Because if we decide that we are not brothers in the sight of God, if we are so afraid for ourselves that we are not capable of loving others, then
that scares me more than anything, Ken. And I don't want to leave this world as that.
No, nor I.
That's why we really want to hear from people also who care, because you're talking about your family's future, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren.
And more important to me is you're talking about the next person's great-grandchildren.
Yes.
Down the road, and the
Not
person
just
from the
you.
next
Yeah.
town.
Absolutely. Okay, folks. Well, I know we can go on more, and we will do that next time. So stay tuned and let us know what you think about community and what you like about your community. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, folks.